This Xbox update is too little too late. Did the big surprise at Developer Direct live up to the hype? What is up, y'all? I am Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories, pretty much anything I want to talk about as long as it's about Xbox in some way. And in today's video, we're going to talk about an Xbox update that can solve your console storage issues once and for all, a cool new Xbox accessory coming out, and then we'll wrap up the video with my thoughts on Developer Direct. Now, one of my biggest gripes with modern consoles, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever, especially on Xbox, is the storage. The internal storage fills up super quickly. Heading into this generation, going from a base Xbox One to an Xbox Series X with that full terabyte of storage, I thought I was gonna be living large. I was over here thinking 1 terabyte of storage on my console, sick, man. I'll never have to worry about deleting games, re-downloading them. I'll never have to do that dance ever again, which of course is not true because, well, modern games, they hog up a lot of storage. They are massive. Obvious culprits like Call of Duty, Mortal Kombat, a lot of the Xbox first-party stuff too, like Starfield, but even some of like the lower budget games too, like freaking Stalker 2, that's a huge download size. And while games slowly over the years are taking up more and more space, the internal storage available to us as Xbox owners hasn't risen to compensate for that. Xbox sort of seems aware of this because this latest update that they're testing out in the Alpha Skip Ahead Insider Ring will now give players the option to support external hard drives that exceed 16 terabytes of storage, which means that you can take something like this 24 terabyte external drive from Seagate and back up. I mean, this has got to be like an entire digital library here over several generations. I consider myself a big Xbox fan. I have a whole YouTube channel dedicated to it. I personally wouldn't need this. I also probably wouldn't go for it anyway because it's looking like it's almost 500 bucks. I think I would need like 10 terabytes of storage. I don't even think I would need this new update that they're working on. This is a nice option to have, but I'm worried that it's too little too late. External hard drive on your Xbox consoles, that's not a bad way to go, because oftentimes you can get a lot more for your money compared to the SSD cards that they sell either through a WD Digital or Seagate. And the only thing that you have to be aware of is that any optimized for Series X or S game, any true next-gen game, you can't play that game directly off of the hard drive. You have to switch it over to your console's internal storage, and then you can play it. Which, sure, it's an extra step, but it's way better than having to re-download an entire huge storage hogging game. Anytime something pops up for Xbox and their storage though, it frustrates me all over again. I ended up caving and I bought the 2 terabyte Seagate card for myself. Since I bought it, I haven't had that many issues of running out of storage, but every now and then I gotta reshuffle things around. But I paid a pretty penny for it, man. Over $200, I think, at the time, and I got it on sale. And sure, it's very convenient. All I gotta do is plug it in the back. Hold on, wait, pause. I don't have to worry about shuffling things around. I can play it straight off of the Seagate drive. But let's be real, the fact that we only have 2 options when it comes to expandable cards, it's crap. If we are to believe the rumors of Xbox going towards this future where like they're going towards more of a PC kind of vibe, I sincerely hope that that extends to the storage options as well. When you build a gaming PC, you don't have to buy a Seagate specific proprietary SSD. You can shop around, find the one that's best suited for your needs at your price point. Hell, even on the PlayStation 5, yes, it's a little bit more work. You gotta crack open the hood, install the SSD for yourself, but at least they have options over there. But still, I guess this update is better than nothing. As a reminder, this isn't available to all Xbox users at this point. It's only available in the Xbox Insider Alpha Skip Ahead rings. And according to the Xbox Wire, they say we're enabling support for external USB drives larger than 16 terabytes, so you can be sure your favorite games are always ready to play. Newly formatted drives that are larger than 16 terabytes will be formatted with multiple partitions to utilize all available space for games and apps. These will appear as multiple devices in the storage devices list. They continue, drives greater than 16 terabytes that have already been formatted will be unaffected by this change and would need to be reformatted to take advantage of the updated support for larger drives. If you're sitting there like, man, I don't need to go out and buy a 24 terabyte external drive for my hard drive, maybe you're in the mood for something different, perhaps a new Xbox controller. Yes, I get it. Another Xbox controller. But this one is red, and it is see-through. A couple of weeks back, people were like, oh, we got some more leaks regarding a new controller. This happens like once every couple of weeks, and that controller turned out to be the Pulse Cipher Special Edition. And just when I think to myself, I am good on controllers, I don't need another one, I have dozens of them, they pull me right back in with this because, you know, Red, it's not usually my go-to color, but this one in particular is giving me shades of one of my favorite controllers that I've ever had, which is the Xbox 20th anniversary controller. Sue me, man. I was a kid in the 2000s. We were obsessed with like see-through tech. I like it on the 20th anniversary controller, and from the renders on this, it looks really cool too. I'm glad that they're doing more with that style. And also like that 20th anniversary controller, it's got rubberized grips on the back, which seems like a detail that is like, who cares, right? It's still a controller. But it actually goes a long way in making it feel premium, luxurious. Right now, this controller is only available via pre-order, but it's going to be launching and shipping on February 4th. But it's not this controller that you have to look forward to as an Xbox fan, no. We have a pretty decent slate of games to look forward to as well, a couple of which got firm release dates as part of Developer Direct. The month of April in particular seems like it's going to be pretty fun, especially if you're subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate. Overall, I thought Developer Direct, usually I walk away, I'm like so hyped, I'm so pumped. This year, I'm like, that was a pretty good show. I'm not as hyped as years past. Maybe I'm getting jaded in my old years, I don't know. Leading up to it, we knew that there was gonna be some mystery game, some mystery studio that they were going to be visiting. There was a lot of theories going back and forth about that. And it turned out what we were hearing from Windows Central about that mystery game being the next entry in a legendary Japanese franchise, well, those rumors turned out to be true. Because it turns out that Xbox went to go visit Team Ninja and film a whole thing about Ninja Gaiden 4. They showed off a lot of the flashy combat, they showed off the new protagonist, and they were like, don't worry, the old guy's in it too. What's his involvement? I don't know, you're gonna have to play to find out. It was a good move to start off with this game. Now, full transparency, I have never played a Ninja Gaiden game. The only game that I've played from Team Ninja that I can speak with any sort of knowledge or authority on is Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I really enjoyed that game. And with Ninja Gaiden 4, it looks cool, it looks flashy. I don't know, something about it. I kept thinking about Donkey. I'm like, oh, another ninja sword game. Donkey's gonna love this. Not to knock it because it looks fun, it looks cool, sure. And I'm also very happy for Xbox because we know that they've been going real hard on trying to get these games from Eastern publishers, especially onto the Xbox platform and onto Game Pass. They've made great strides in their relationship with Atlas, Sega, Square Enix, and now Team Ninja. Wolong was a day one addition to Game Pass back in 2023, and now Ninja Gaiden 4 is going to follow suit. That is cool, but about halfway through, I was like, this doesn't really feel like Xbox, you know? I know. I'm gonna put on like my Xbox purist hat for like just a second. I'm gonna take it off in just a little bit. I'm like, this game looks cool, but doesn't feel like Xbox. I don't know. The follow-up announcement about Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, the remake that they did in Unreal Engine. I know there's kind of like Unreal Engine fatigue out there, but for some reason, I don't know if I'm bugging, but I was more interested in Ninja Gaiden Black 2 versus the new game that they had spent all that time talking about. Something about it, I don't know, caught my interest in a way that the fourth game, I don't know, it wasn't clicking with me. Also, very cool, classy move for Xbox to be like, it's available right now on Game Pass Ultimate. Remember, new games, day one drops. Those don't come to the middle tier of Game Pass anymore. You gotta be subscribed to Ultimate. Moving on to South of Midnight, it was pretty much what I expected. Going into this, we knew that they were taking some big swings with the world building and the character design. That all is still there. We got a deeper look at the combat and the magic, which is called weaving. I think all of that on paper, I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. But again, it's not jumping out at me. I'm not like, oh my gosh, I need to play this game. It looks like a pretty solid action adventure, narrative-driven game. You got a little bit of platforming and puzzle solving. The music sounds great, the voice acting, you can tell that the team has a lot of passion and specifically the world building, but I also said a lot of those same things leading up to the release of Hellblade 2, and look how that turned out. That might be a little unfair because the combat seems way more robust in South of Midnight than Hellblade 2. Either way, I'm gonna find out soon enough because this game is releasing at the beginning of April, so I'll check it out for myself then. At first I was like, these enemy designs look pretty cool, and in the combat I see like, you know, room for combos, and then they kind of got like that unraveling mechanic that we saw in Ghostwire Tokyo. A little bit. But then I was like, wait a minute, these enemies that are kind of floating around, they're like kind of like lanky, twisted versions of nature. That kind of reminds me of something. I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of the vampires floating around in Redfall. With the next game, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, at first when they announced that, I was like, I don't know, like, you're spending a lot of time focusing on these third-party games in an Xbox showcase, but I walked away once again being like, dang, this is one of the more interesting titles to me coming up. Much like South of Midnight, it has this really interesting, gorgeous-looking world, but for me personally, I think the story hook is a lot stronger than South of Midnight, at least for me right now. The whole Death Painter thing, once a year, counting down, and then everyone over that age just disappears. You go on a mission to stop it. I'm like, that sounds cool. The graphics look gorgeous. I was shocked when someone on the team was like, yeah, we've spent the last 4 years working on this, and it's releasing this year. I'm like, 4 years? A small team working for 4 years, and this is what we got? That's very impressive, considering some of the other games that have been releasing lately. I am interested to see like how the real-time elements play out in the turn-based combat. They were talking a little bit about, oh, you know, you can mitigate damage if you dodge or parry at a certain time within the turn-based combat. Sort of familiar with a system like that since I've been playing Sea of Stars. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully they found a good balance. They did mention that they went like pretty hard with the real-time stuff at first, and they were like, it turned out to be too hard, so we had to rework things. I think that can go a long way in keeping players engaged. I love Metaphor RE Fantasio, for example, but as I reached the end and I was going through these dungeons, once you figure out what works, I found myself just like skipping through the animations and trying to plow through it as fast as I can. Oftentimes, especially in combat situations, my brain was just kind of shut off once I figured it out. This game also has an April release date, April 24th. I was surprised. I was like, oh, 2 games? South of Midnight at the front half of April, and then rounded out by Expedition 33 at the end. Looks like April's gonna be a pretty good month. It was a good move to end with Doom the Dark Ages. When they got to Doom the Dark Ages and that loud-ass soundtrack started playing, I was like, okay, this feels like Xbox. Doomslayer, guns, carnage, yeah, that feels like Xbox. This was the game I was most excited to see going into Developer Direct. In a weird way, I'm still excited for this game. I think it looks good. I think it looks fun. I was more hyped about seeing the trailer last showcase in June than I was watching this Developer Direct. I liked the run and gun and the jump and gun aspects of previous Dooms that they had been working on, Doom Eternal in 2016. The stand and fight mentality that they were talking about, that seems cool. I'm thinking maybe it's more fun to actually experience it than watch someone play it. It's obvious that parrying and the shield that you got going on with the chainsaw, that's a huge component of the game. Going into it, I was like, yeah, I love medieval stuff, man. Give me that shield. Give me swords. Give me all the flail that they were showing off. But when I was watching it play out, I was like, I don't know. I think it might be a little too much shield and like melee stuff. The guns are still sick though. I mean, you got the thing that crushes up the skull and then shoots the shrapnel out. And then of course they're taking big swings. They were like, oh yeah, you'll be able to get in the giant mech. You'll be able to fly the dragon around. It's not a one and done thing. It's not locked to a level. It's something that's gonna appear throughout the game. That's cool. But the fact that I walked away from this more interested in Expedition 33 than I was Doom, that took me by surprise. Overall, I thought it was a pretty decent show. They gave us some stuff to look forward to. And thinking back on it, maybe people weren't as big of fans of Developer Direct as I was in years past. But my way of thinking is like, even if you don't like every single game that they show, there's a good chance, I'm not saying a guarantee, there's a good